Revolutionary greetings, comrades. On the 21st of June 2023, the nomination court received papers from those who want to stand for public office in Zimbabwe, either as presidents, members of parliament, councillors, senators, under the PR for women and the youth. In this short video, just want to briefly discuss the lessons drawn from the nomination court. The first lesson is that an election by its nature is based on numbers. A political party or movement that wants to contest an election, it must have grassroots structures. It is these grassroots structures that will produce the candidate or candidates that will stand on their behalf. Secondly, it is the grassroots structures that will raise resources for those that are standing on behalf of the party. The nomination for a presidential candidate is $20,000. For an MP is $1,000, $1,000, and for a councillor $100. The danger is that if an MP candidate raises their nomination fee, $1,000, raises their own campaign money, in parliament, they are likely not to toe the party line if they are not disciplined cadres. If at some stage a party will want to withdraw from parliament, a person or a member of parliament that used their money to get into parliament will refuse. As we saw in the outgoing parliament, sitting MPs at the end of their term were granted $40,000 bribe, which was said to be a loan, but it was a bribe. So it opens up to such bribery by the system. So if a member of the party raises their own resources, they might not toe the party line. So to counter this is that the party must have grassroots structures. It must be the structures in a constituency that will raise the nomination fee and they pay for their preferred candidate. It should not be left to the individual to run the fundraising campaign. I come from a constituency which has 20 wards. So if I'm an MP candidate in my constituency in Umzingwane, I should not raise as an individual my own nomination fee. It should be the structures in Umzingwane that raise the money for nomination fee and for campaign, because it is a collective effort. By so doing, we will indeed say this is a candidate produced by the people and for the people. Because it is the people, to use a common word now in the opposition, it is the citizens that would mobilize resources. Whether they sell in the market a bucket of maize meal, they sell their chickens, whatever method they use as a collective to raise the money. So that the MP or the councillor is a councillor for the people, is not the boss. It is the ward structures or structures in a ward that will have raised the $100. Then you say, we are sending you to the council chambers and you account to us because you are our servant. It is the structures in the constituents that say, this is the $1,000 that we are giving you. We've sold our goats and the other crops for you to be able to be our representative in Parliament. You therefore account to us. But if the money is raised by an individual, it becomes a problem. Because if the Zimbabwe Communist Party is to field a presidential candidate, if the Zimbabwe Communist Party says our General Secretary, Comrade Ngabuto Nicholas Mabena, is our presidential candidate in 2023, the $20,000, if it would still be $20,000, I should not, as General Secretary of the party, be required on my own to then begin to fundraise for the purposes of me to register as a presidential candidate in 2028. It must be the structures of the party that would say, Comrade Mabena, as our General Secretary, we want you as a presidential candidate in 2028. The structures would say, because you are our product, it is us, the structures countrywide, that will raise not only the nomination fee, but the campaign, make money for the campaign for us to win. The problem that we have had in the last 20 years is that Western donors, introduced a new culture where this thing exists inside the Zimbabwe Communist Party. Comrades expect that when we have a central committee, the party must send them transport money, must pay for their accommodation. Because Western donors, and I must point out that not all comrades in the Zimbabwe Communist Party have this mentality, but there are some, that when we are convening meetings of the Central Committee, comrades would want the party to pay for their transport and for their accommodation. Nothing wrong if the party has money. So you can imagine that if the party is to pay for transport money, buy data when we're having online meetings for comrades, what more when we say we are taking part in an election? The comrades would say, okay, we're available to contest, give us the money to submit our papers in the nomination court, money for posters, for all material required to run an effective election. And we know that the Communist Party will not be funded by anyone. Because the Communist Party, which we'll discuss, and I think we'll discuss in another video, it is funded by the workers. But our trade unions in Zimbabwe do not have money because of unemployment and the state of our economy. So a party, therefore, that contests an election must have grassroots structures. And the grassroots structures must understand that they are the owners of the party. They themselves are the party. This is how we differ, our understanding of a party owned by citizens. This is how we differ with the Triple C, led by Chamisa. As we were observing, candidates in Triple C had to fork money from their own pockets, right? Because it is them that want to be parliamentarians, want to be councillors. Our political education should speak to a citizen of Zimbabwe, inside Zimbabwe and in the diaspora, and they understand that they are the owners of the party. Therefore, they have an obligation. It should not be the General Secretary or any member of the Central Committee or any structure of the party who stands up and says, I want to be a candidate. It should be the structures who say, comrades, we have done a scientific analysis. We cannot continue to stay away from elections. But elections require resources. We will not be funded by the West because we are their class enemies. The trade union movement in Zimbabwe is bankrupt, to use this word. It cannot fund a campaign for a political party. Therefore, it is the grassroots structures that must carry the burden of raising the money, because an election needs money. So it's an important lesson for us as communists that an election is very expensive for an individual. But if it is a collective, the 20,000 US dollars is affordable for a presidential candidate or of a party that has a national footprint. The 1,000 US dollars is affordable to a party that has committed members. Because if it is the members that raise the money for elections, The members will decide on who should be the candidate. It is not the Central Committee or the Politburo. What the party simply do is to come up with the guidelines, the structures of the party must produce, so that at the end we say the candidate belongs to the people. It is the people that are financing the candidate. Please share your views. As I'm saying that Western donors introduced a dangerous culture in Zimbabwe because they have money. So they will flood US dollars to opposition parties, to civil society. But with the drying up, or with the donor fatigue, then candidates, as we saw on the 21st of June, 2023, have to fork money out of their pockets. The first thing they do when they are sworn in, if they win, one is to make arrangements of paying the debt, because some had to borrow money to pay in the nomination court. And those that are not going to be successful face a bleak future because they owe creditors. They had to go and borrow money to file their papers in the nomination court. So when a person then gets elected, the first thing is to try to make arrangements of paying the debt. And the person will then do any funny thing to try and get money to pay the debt, and this promotes corruption. Please share your views in terms of your own lessons. But lesson number one, which we are discussing in this video, it has been long, I must apologize, is the whole question of financing an election. When we say the party belongs to the people, we should not be paying lip service. We should walk the talk. It is the people that must fund the election campaign. Please share your views in the comment section. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Otherwise, Amandla Comrades.